righty then, it must be, gotta be. I'm sitting here because I'm looking at the original Coach Carter. Life is good. So how you doing? I mean, you looking good. You
Good,
got a big
good.
smile on your face. I mean, you're looking like it's almost basketball season.
Oh, yeah. As much as I've been in the gym this week, you can't tell me it's not basketball season.
Oh yeah, yeah. So how's things going
Yeah.
there in the wonderful state of Tennessee? What's the weather like there now?
We're starting to get a little cooler temperatures, but we still got some forecasts up in the 90s over the next couple of
Oh,
days, and in the next week. But the
okay.
mornings are getting cooler, the evenings are getting cooler, but I think today we were up in the 80s, but we're going back up in the 90s.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm Charles Morris. This is the original Coach Carter. This is Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Wednesday. We're talking sports, and as the coach would say, and we try to emphasize, sports is more than just a game. And with
Amen.
that, we talk about a lot of different things other than sports. And Youth Central Sports is a way of that we try to reach out and, for example, the single mothers, or it could be the single fathers as well. And we try to illustrate and point out the importance of how sports can be used as a tool and a guide in a lot of positive ways. But if you're not careful and not around the right people and don't do your homework, sports can be something extremely negative. So we talk about that in addition to the original Coach Carter and the things that he's involved in. And and there's a segment of the show which is called "How About Them Cowboys," which we're gonna talk about later. But they got a real test coming up this weekend. I mean, yeah, this weekend. So we're gonna hear what Coach Carter has to say about that. A lot been going on in sports. We can talk about AB. We can get there. But Bill Self in the news. Give me an update on Bill Self.
Well, the bottom line, he's in trouble.
Okay.
He's in trouble. The NCAA is after him, and they've received notice of allegation of levied serious accusations against him and his program. They are moving forward with him, and they're saying right now that the organization announced in late 2017, shortly after an FBI probe revealed that seemingly some underbelly college basketball activity has been going on. This falls in the same category of what Duke just recently said, that they did an investigation on their self-investigation. They didn't find anything wrong, but the FBI has proven that Nike was prepared to do an under the table pay. They just had not verified to whom that person took place to. This is a situation where it appears as though some rules have been violated
Mm-hmm.
um, from the coach involved. So it's still developing, but they've just announced it. He is going. I think he's going to be suspended.
Oh wow.
Possibly he may lose his
Well,
job, but it's
in
still
in case
developing.
people don't know, he's part of one of the top programs in all of college basketball.
Kansas
He's up
Jayhawks very
there.
much.
That school is up there. By the way, hey Myron Coney, yeah, how you doing there, man? I'm still waiting for you to send me your phone number so I can call you so we can go motorcycle ride. But anyway, yeah, um, his pro,
They've
pro
notice
his
of
program is one of
allegations
the
from
top in the country.
it is, but it's in deep trouble right now. And so the fact that they found those allegations, they will be discussing those in greater detail with him in the school in the next few days.
Wow, yeah. Hmm. And it's funny because I didn't ask you last week, but I was going to ask you about where are they? Have you heard anything in addition in the FBI report? Because we haven't talked about it in a couple of weeks.
They have not been forthcoming. This is part of what they're doing. This is being forced down from the FBI through the NCAA allegations that are taking place. That whole thing with Zion or Alvanetti has not been resolved. They have not been able to prove that they actually paid anybody, but they have been able to prove that it was set up to do so. They found that much. He's still alleging that not only they paid other Duke players, and they also were paying um, uh, uh, Zion. So that's not been proven yet, but the investigation is still going. They got several other schools that they're looking at for violations. So it has not, it's not dead and it's not over. They're just
Okay.
methodically moving very efficiently through, and you're gonna be hearing more about it.
All
I'm
right.
reading an article now regarding this thing. This thing is very long, but in essence, what it's saying is that they're in trouble.
All right. Yeah. Um, I saw. I was intending to write this down, but I saw it real quickly about 2 days ago. It looks like North Carolina signed a center. I think he's like in the top 10, a top
Yeah,
20
yeah,
player.
they did.
Who is this guy?
Let's see. I had that information here just the other day, but they've signed several kids, and this kid, uh, I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't recall his name, but I do know. Oh, he's number. Is this the kid? No, not him. I
But
had it on my.
you said that they've signed several.
Yeah, they're recruiting class because they got Cole Anthony. I mean, which is Greg Anthony's son, is
Right.
as a
Yeah.
point
Yeah. Yeah.
guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah. I
signed a
heard about
big
him.
kid. They got some returning players. They're gonna have some
What's
maturity
the
on the team.
What's the scoop on Greg Anthony's son? What I haven't heard anything about him. What his
Top
son is
recruit,
like.
top recruit. He was a top recruit. He should very much. He will give them a lot of strength in the backcourt. Shoots the ball well. Handles the team. Plays defense. He will be an NBA player.
Okay.
That's the word on the street now. Obviously we got to play the game, but word on the street is he got a big P for potential. This kid is top. They don't think he'll be there more than 1 year.
All right. We're gonna get into some college football, but how many weeks away are we from uh, basketball, college basketball? Because they
Some,
start in
some
October. So when
their
October
division
15th?
schools, some started today.
Oh,
Some
really?
will be starting in a couple of days. Some Ivy League schools they got started today, or several of them will start next week. And in the next couple of weeks they'll be up and rolling. So it's getting started.
Okay.
NBA, they coaches are in camp already. Players are starting to. I think by the end of the month, which will be next week, they should be in camp.
As a matter of fact, as far as NBA, I just saw that they just did a story on Phil's. What is the guard name that came from Philadelphia that's in
Michael
Magic?
Phelps, Michael Phelps, he just got his
Right.
contract extended.
Yeah, they were
Rick
just saying
Magic,
that it looks like he's looking good, but they've said that before. So I don't know. He just seemed to be this
well,
mystery player. So I don't know.
I,
He, his,
I
I mean,
think
his situation has been weird ever since he's been in the
he's
league.
been injured. He was many people felt like he should not been a number one pick, but nevertheless, when he came out, he's been injured pretty much since he got on the court. So supposedly he's now looking. He's really physical. They thought he'd be ready to go last season. That didn't work out. So they're saying that they're going to take another season and that he should be ready to go. They won't trade him. So they obviously they see something. They haven't tried to trade him. They signed him to additional contract. So I guess that they're seeing what the progression that they want to see. I'd be interested to see him play because when he first went out there, he wasn't ready at all. He was way over his head, but he's had not time to play. I think he's been a part of the G League, so it'd be interesting to see how he pans out.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to say hi to my friend Karen Went. Hey, Karen. Which reminds me, Vince, uh, off the cuff, and Karen, if you're listening, you might be able to help me out. And you will see more of this, Vince. But I had a friend of mine that I was working on a fundraiser for. Found out last year that she was dealing with breast cancer, and we've been friends for for over 20 years, as a matter of fact. And make a long story short, I went to see her on the 11th. I had seen her a few weeks before. She used to live here in Orlando, moved down to Miami, I used to go see her from time to time, but I had been out of her life for a long time. But we would stay in touch, and I went on a Facebook page back in early November of last year, and saw she was dealing with breast cancer. Then got in touch with her, went to see her the the day of or the week of her surgery, and blah 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 blah, and would go visit her, would go and pray with her, and put her on the phone with Pastor Jenkins and my deacon at the church, and so on and so forth, and went to see her a few times. But I went to see her on the 11th of this month over in Tampa. She was at Moffitt, which is a hospital on the grounds of South Florida, where they do cancer research and so on and so forth. And she was part of this cancer study. Da, da, da. And that was the first time that I saw her, Vince, that she looked like she was looked like she had cancer. Out of the whole time that I've seen her, she never looked like she was ill. And I saw her on the 11th, and last week I was reaching out to her, never did hear from her. So on Thursday, I just happened to go online to see if I can find something, and come to find out that she passed away on the 14th. So I saw her on that Wednesday. She passed away on that Saturday. Just so happened, as I was looking, I went back to the page and looked and saw I had 45 minutes to go to get ready, because they also had her service for that day here in Orlando. They're also gonna have service for her in Miami and also in Puerto Rico. So I was blessed enough to see that in time to be able to go and had a long conversation with a mom and a brother and a dad and so on and so forth. But I say that to say I'd got with her to do a fundraiser that I wanted to do in October, but because of people not being able to put things in place, we scheduled the fundraiser for November the 2nd. We're still going to do the fundraiser events, but we're going to do it and honor her, and we're going to give out money in her name to some charity in reference to breast cancer. But more importantly, the day is a day in which we want people to come out, and we want to recognize those. We want family members to come out and recognize the loved ones that they have lost to breast cancer. But also, we want to recognize those that are in that battle of breast cancer. And we're going to have information, and where they can ask questions. We're going to try to give out as much information as we can on what to do when you're going through treatment, or the proper foods to eat, and some of the do's and the don'ts, and to be able to say where we are in our research, and we're going to have a couple of testimonies from those who have been fighting this fight. Yvette Register as our guest speaker. I've been working with Yvette Register for many years. She's a motivational speaker. She's a cancer survivor. And also another friend of mine who's a cancer survivor. We're going to also talk about how important it is that you understand what the doctor is telling you, and that you follow what the doctor tell you, based on you doing your homework and understanding. Don't go off and do your own whatever that is that some people do, and not able to take advantage of the technology and the wisdom of the research that's been going on forever and forever. And that'll be taking place on November 2nd. The flyer will probably go out. What's tomorrow? Thursday. The flyer will probably either go out late tomorrow or early Friday, and we will talk more about it as it coming up to November 2nd. I lost my mom to cancer. My brother wife has dealt with cancer. Ken's wife, as you know, cancer. I have an aunt that's 75 years old right now going through that, and so on and so forth. It's not about the month of October, but it's about everyday life and the support, and we're trying to give out as much information as we can. That'll be taking place in November, and you will see more information. You'll see the flyer. And it's going to be at the Smith Center starting from 11 to 2. Yeah.
Worthy cause. There are a lot of people that are being touched by that, unfortunately. There are some people in my circle that are also that are suffering from that. A very good friend of mine most recently was diagnosed and is undergoing treatment now And I think one of the most helpless feelings I have is I'm so far away from him that but we're in touch. I'm able to talk to him, which is very comforting and also hopeful and providing comfort for him. Came down with it all of a sudden. Has moved rather rapidly, but he's fighting a very good fight. So I can greatly appreciate the loss and also the continuing battle. And I think that's a worthy cause, and I hope many will go out and support that. It means a lot to know that you have someone in your corner who cares.
Definitely. And then, Vince, the more you talk with people, the more you realize the impact and how it has affected so many people over the years.
Yes.
I wanted to try to share something, but this is the spirit of my friend, the one that passed away. This is that's that's her spirit right there. And she and the thing of it is, as they had a service on Thursday, Friday was her birthday. She would have been 47 years old.
Hmm.
So, and again, look for the flyer, and hopefully, those that would like to participate, they can register by email. But all of that information is coming out really soon, November the 2nd, from 11 to 2 at the Smith Center. So, again, so back to the wonderful world of sports, there, Vince.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about something. I, I think I got my computer back now, so I can go to my notes. I think I finally got it back. But oh, I know what I was going to ask you. Did you see that game between Michigan and Wisconsin? Did you see that game? Did you see how
No.
bad Michigan looked? Or did you see how Wisconsin made Michigan look? Did you see that game?
Yeah. Yeah. I did not see the entire game, but I saw enough to know that they were outplayed, outcoached. Just a bad day for them. They just couldn't get any traction, and that's the world of sports. And unfortunately, Harbaugh is going to pay a price for that. Don't know. Certainly, if he loses another game, I don't think he'll get through the season. As it stands right now, I'm not sure he'll be back. But and what we fail to understand, or some people don't get, that affects his entire family. Not only the win-loss column for the school and the program, but a loss of income, loss of a job, is going to affect him as well as his family. But that's what you signed up for.
Did you see the Georgia Notre Dame game?
Yes,
All right,
yes.
yeah, it
Notre
was.
Dame was very surprising that Notre Dame. There was a lot of conversation that they were going to get. They would lose by double digits. That they would not be able to compete. Well, they certainly proved the critics wrong, and really gave a very good. They had a chance to win the game. So that was a good game.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Let me switch to the NFL real quick. The Giants game and the Bucks. Did you get a chance to see that the Giants and the Bucks game?
I, I don't see any reason to watch that.
Actually, that was a good game, Vince. That was a good game. And the reason
Okay.
why I asked if you saw it was because I wanted to make a comment on the play of Daniel Jones, how it would have
Thought
been
he played.
different.
Thought he played well.
No, 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 not that. I mean, he played very well, but I was gonna say I wonder what the conversation would have been like if Tampa did not miss that 34-yard field goal, because they put themselves in position to win. But I think the conversation, or I wonder what the conversation would have been like if Tampa had made that field goal in the last 5 seconds of that game. And not to take away, I'm just talking about. I just wonder what the conversation would have been like, because he did play a very good game and he
Uh,
won.
the
But
conversation, the conversation wouldn't change too much, I don't think, because it wouldn't have been his. It's not his performance that cost him the game. It's a team effort. There's some stops that should have been made, perhaps some plays that should have been made that would have kept them out of that situation. And you got to tip your hat to him. Just agree. great field goal there, or opportunity had he made it. But you're right; it would not take away from what he did. He put him in a position to win, and I was very surprised that he was able to do as much as he was, and I thought he did a very good job.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And I was very, I mean, not shocked, but just to come, I mean, to watch Tampa come back the way, well, they had the ball with like 58 seconds to go to come down and try to make the field goal. And they tried to set it up. Well, their intent was to set it up to kick the field goal. And for whatever reason, he missed the 34-yard field goal, which is supposed to really be a chip shot. But
Mm.
I often wonder why sometimes when there's time on the clock, and there was time on the clock to try to make at least one more play towards the end zone, they just chose to just try to set it up on 3 plays. No, on 2 plays, they just kneel to try to set up for the field goal, and they didn't try to make a play for the end zone. And I guess that was just, what's the odds that your kicker is going to miss a 34-yard field goal? That's dead center.
It probably felt like that was their best opportunity to score rather than to risk a turnover on a carry or an interception or something. That degree, let's go ahead and get this field goal and safely get the field goal and then be prepared on the back end. Didn't work out that way. And
Yeah.
so now, you wonder what happened. But I think that was the right call to make. That's what I think I would have done. Given I was only 34 yards out, yeah, that's supposed to be a makeable shot, a
Yeah.
makeable kick, but it happens. I mean, a lot of those kickers are having problem winds, holes, pressure
Did
from up on the center. You never
Did you
know.
notice Sunday all the missed like extra point, extra field goals last Sunday? I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, what shocks me more than the field goals is when they miss extra points.
Yeah, there
That
was a bunch
that's
of them. Yeah, lately.
that that you can miss. So I mean, I don't know what to attribute to that. I don't know whether it's over anxiousness or these guys are overcompensating or what, but a lot of missed field goals. I mean, a lot of missed extra points, which is that should be a given.
Did you see any of the UCF game?
Yeah, I did. I watched the entire game. I thought they put up a valiant effort. They had a chance to win, and those things didn't go their way, so they lost. They lost a good game. It's unfortunate they placed everything on that game. A lot of the commentators and stuff are just placing a lot on that game. But I still hope they go ahead and still continue to have a great season.
Well, with that loss, they're definitely out of bowl contentions because they, with that and how they do the bowls, it would have
But
to
they
be
have
like a.
championship. They might get a bowl game. They won't get one of the top four bowl games, I don't think, but they might get a bowl game anyway. Particularly how they finish, based on how they finish the season.
Right.
Now they out of championship contention, then
Oh yeah.
they're out of there. But I still think if you look at it overall, if they finish that season with only with one loss, they still had a great season.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, there are people, we'll always want a little bit more, and they probably will too. But when you sit right back and look at it, you've had a good season.
HBO is going behind the scenes with the football pro. Did we talk about Arizona State, Florida, Penn State, and Washington? They're going to do 4 episodes on a 24/7 documentary series. Did you hear about that? That HBO Sports is
I
doing a behind the scenes series with Arizona State, Florida, Penn
read
State, and Washington State.
I read about the concept, but I was not aware of the specific schools. But the concept, which I think again is a great idea to let people see what it's really like, because basically fans only see one side of an effort. And that's what they see on Sunday or Saturday. What I like for them to understand is what happens between the last game and this game, the intensity of what they're doing, the detail that's put in in my mind, it gives you a greater appreciation for what you actually see on the field, especially when it's executed correctly. You really get to see, as well as you get to understand sometimes, where that mistake took place, depending upon your depth of understanding, how much you really want to know about the game. So I think it's a great way. I've seen it done with the NFL. It was nice to let people get an insight into how much camaraderie really takes place, how close these guys really are, in an attempt to make them a family. But at the same time, we got work to do. So I think it's a great effort. I'd love to see it.
You know, I've been wanting to talk about this, and it was funny because during the week, actually the past 2 weeks, I had been doing a little research because I hadn't heard anything, and I was intending to ask you about this last show last Wednesday. But it's funny that he came up in the news, and that's Alan Maloney, the New Jersey high school referee who forced the teenager wrestler Andrew Johnson to cut his
Yeah.
dreadlocks. Did you see? You know that he
Mhm.
had, that situation came up, that he has been suspended, I guess, for the last 2 years. And actually, he was trying to file a lawsuit against them for the backlash that he got for his action towards this kid. Did you see that?
I did read about that. I really think that's one of those things that I don't think there's any recourse you can have. But it also will be based on what the rules they have in place. And based on that, will give him an opportunity to file that. I don't think there's anything in place that supports what he did. He may be trying to force the hand, but I think everybody's going to lean to what is policy and what does policy say. And policies, I don't think there's any policy that would support that, because immediately people were coming out saying we can't support that because there was no reason for that. That was personal. That had nothing to do with his job.
Right.
So now it becomes a civil suit, because it's a personal, or a personal suit, if you will. So I don't think he has any recourse whatsoever.
He he had a racial charge incident in his past.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, you know, so it's interesting. One of the other things that I've been wanting to ask you, and it's kind of a sad situation, but had you been following Kellen Winslow Jr. the past couple of years, what's been going on and how crazy and all the crazy stuff that he's been doing?
A little bit of what was going on with him. I kind of lost track of him a little bit after the first year, so I kind of lost contact with what was going on. It was bizarre enough, and I really don't know the outcome of that, but so I haven't been following it too much lately.
Yeah, he man, oof, I don't even know where to start with him. Man, he's a sad case, man. He is a real sad case. But it looks like he going to be doing some serious time. His wife finally divorced him, I think, last week or this, yeah, last week. So uh,
It's
for
tough.
those that are out
Uh,
there, if you start to Google him, you better understand what we're talking about. It's a little bit too crazy to even talk about it. You know, somebody,
yeah.
his dad being who his dad, and all the success that he had, just his name alone is just, and I don't even want to begin to try to be his father and just, I wouldn't know what that would feel like under that type of situation, because it's so severe, Vince. I mean, it's almost like there's something wrong mentally, with the charges that's against him and the things that he's been charged with. It's almost like, well, it's not almost. It definitely got to be something mental going on with him.
Well, they are, the need for mental health is not accept. There is no exception as to whom the service is needed to. I mean, his athletes are not exempt from. Many of them suffer from certain forms of depression and all kinds of issues. And so it's not unusual that it happens that way. I think we pay attention to it because he's an athlete. But if he was an everyday Joe Smo, you probably wouldn't pay as much attention to it unless it's really, really bizarre. But it happens so frequently. So many
Did,
people dealing with it, and they get to a certain point, they just can't deal with it.
did you hear about this young man that played in the NBA? His name was Andre Emmett. Did you hear about him?
Yes, yes, yes,
Man,
I did.
that's yeah. He was found shot and killed in Dallas early uh, last Monday, and he played for the Memphis Grizzlies and the New Jersey Nets. He also played in the Big Three.
Hmm.
Uh, young, he was 37. Around 230. When the 37-year-old tried, he was 37 years old.
Well, you see, the NBA this season coming up is required a full-time mental health staff for their NBA teams. They're really taking what I consider to be a big step toward addressing those concerns, and I think it won't be long before the NFL and Major League Baseball and professional soccer all do the same because some of that's on in every sport on every team. How much depends on how well that person is able to handle it or what stresses that they are facing. So the NBA has recognized that they got to make sure they have somebody on staff to help those guys.
Did you see real quick where let me see if I can pronounce the name. Uh, Yuskinsky. Remember the Boston player who who back in what was that in the '70s when he hit the ball and he was telling it to stay,
Yeah,
stay, stay, and it was
yeah.
the home run. Remember that? Uh,
Hmm.
uh, remember that play?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, did you see where his grandson is now in the league
He had a big home
and
run.
he came out and hit a home run, and how sweet
He
is
was
that,
there. I was there, but he left not to put any pressure on his grandson because he was there. But he went ahead on and had a great game anyway.
Right,
Broke his record. Um, um, that's got to be special in the household. I mean, can you imagine the young lady that we had on most recently, whose husband was your relative, whose husband is an NFL player, and now she has both sons in the NFL.
right,
What a unique situation, but yet a very complicated situation as well. For every positive, there's a negative. And those kids are blessed. I think one of the positives is being able to be help get navigation through the NFL by dad, but also a negative in the pressure they had to feel because of dad as well, and each other. So, but what a unique situation to have. What an insight that she provided about what it's like to be in that kind of a household. It's a
right,
lot of joy. And I have a lady I work with whose sons were big time baseball players and made it to the major leagues. And she often talks about the dynamics of what that's like. So it's a very special time. It's a
well,
very special, unique
well,
situation.
that's why I was trying to get you, and this was just for me. It wasn't for anybody else that might have been watching at the time. But I asked you the question just for myself because I wanted to know and didn't care about anybody else. But when I asked you the question, what was it like to be at a Duke North Carolina game? Just for me watching on TV, but to be there in person, to see that,
Hmm.
man, that just the electricity alone, just walk in there. I mean, your skin got to be crawling, and all of it.
Well,
That's
yeah, I think and obviously to some people that doesn't have the same value. There are people who are there who like basketball. Maybe
mhm,
they just happen to like a team. But if you're really about sports, you're right. When you walk on Duke campus or North Carolina's campus, the history alone grabs you. Then to walk into a Carolina Duke game, I mean that's just I mean, that's unbelievable. I hear people talk about the Florida Georgia game that they
right,
have in Jacksonville. I can't grasp. I mean, I understand the excitement, but I don't grasp it because I've never been.
Right.
But having experienced this, I know it's got to be the same thing. So just like I got a friend of mine who's a huge race car fan, and he's all excited about it. I can't. I appreciate where he is. I don't know. I don't know how that feels. But if it's anything like the experiences that I've had for a game that I really enjoy seeing, it's undescribable sometimes. I mean, you're sitting up in there and you got thousands of people up in there cheering and raising. I mean, just and then for it the players that to be the schools that you want that has its history, legendary coach, legendary school history, and you're sitting in the midst of that. Uh, it's indescribable, man. I mean,
Did you? I was asking you.
extra skip in that step. I'm from the officials to the players, the coaches, the
Right.
fans. It's that exciting.
Well, it's funny because when you grow up, for those, because that's just like the Cookman and the Fam classic, and
Exactly.
that
Very
rivalry
much so.
are like,
Hmm.
I'm from Jacksonville, and I know of the Reigns Reebok rivalry,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for people that is part of that,
Hmm.
that's just as big as anything ever. That
Oh
that
yeah.
is
Oh yeah.
exactly like
I
Duke and North Carolina coming together.
think
So
Carolina
when you bring
has a lot.
Reigns and Reebok, it's the same man. It's like crazy, crazy, and then you bring the people from the old school because they show up too, and it's just like this thing where they come together, and it's huge, and
Well,
just that that game is like no other game. It doesn't matter whether it's football, basketball, it could be pong pong, it could be jacks. It's
what
just
depends
like
to your connection. Your connection to it. I sent you a tape of a ball game that we
right,
had against our crosstown rivalry, and that's very big in this area, as any rivalry would be. But they're in the same city, just we're just miles apart. And that thing is that's every year, and that's in any sport. That's volleyball, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, tennis, Special Olympics, anything you do that rivalry exists. And is in this I meet people on the street who said I attended this school and we never liked you guys. I still don't like you. And I can appreciate that because while I've just joined this family, but I feel the same way. Oh, you from that school? Don't like you at all. So it's an intense situation, and I think it just depends on where you are. Obviously, as you indicated, but the ones I have experienced have been just mind blowing.
yeah,
And here's the thing that I can tell you too, as a coach, and I can't necessarily talk to. I'm gonna share with you what players say, but how
okay,
exciting it is to play in that environment. When you think like in basketball, and even your better gyms, the people are close in there. Some gyms, I mean, they're right up on top of you, but even in your better gyms, but that whole gym is packed. I mean, and they're living on every dribble, every pass, every shot. And the kids get a kick out of. I get a kick out of coaching in one of those days. To be on such a big stage and have every decision looked at, every execution review. I mean, it's fun, and to me, it's what you live for.
right.
It's what you work for, because it puts you in an elite category. So it's exciting without a doubt.
Okay, well, Major League Baseball and the playoffs will be starting real soon, so we get a chance to
Yeah, I
see
see my
some
Braves. Well,
supposedly some good pitching, maybe.
I in the game of baseball for me, it's just I like to see him hit the ball. I know pitching is important, and I agree with that, but I like to see him hit that ball.
Well, the Yankees been doing a lot of that this year. Well, actually, the
Yeah,
whole league. I mean, they've been breaking
well, yeah,
records like crazy. The entire
yeah.
league. They, was not. We talked about earlier. Was not that ball or the bat is juice. Hey, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get that many bats juice at one time. I mean, maybe it's the ball, maybe it's the kind of ball that they're using, but I would be interested to see, and I haven't heard anything about that. And it's the statistics to support. Has there ever been a year when it's been like this before, or is this a record-setting year at all? Is
Oh yeah,
is
oh
the
yeah.
man?
I mean, the way the
So
ball been knocked out of the park this year. It's been a record-setting year. Period. I mean, it's been crazy.
I'd love to hear that conversation on that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you don't see that often, and then you go in and knocking the ball out the park.
Before yeah, before we go to the NFL, you got any college football games you're looking forward to this coming weekend?
I love college football so much. I mean, I just love seeing them play. I don't care who plays. I've been interested in Florida State. I do have a long old passion for them, and I'm just want to see if he's going to be able to turn that around. UCF is close to me too. I was a little bit disappointed at what they were unable to win, but I still think they're playing good football. I really am interested to see what happens at Florida State. He won a game. He really got no respect for the win. I want to see what will they do this week when they come out because they play. I mean, they're putting points on the board. They just don't seem to be able to play in the defense. I'd love to see what happens with them. So I'm kind of that's my watchful eye, and I want to see how UCF comes back. I obviously Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, those guys. I mean, I just look forward to seeing them play.
A little sad note before we get into the NFL. I saw another story out of Denver with this young boy, 14 years old. He was shot over a pair of sneakers. He was shot and
Mm,
killed over a pair of sneakers.
that's still happening.
Yeah, it's just sad. And he was a basketball player, and based on what his sister said, and actually, supposedly his friend was the one who shot and killed him. I mean, I mean, 14 years old, a little kid. I mean, he had a chance to live, and you sitting there arguing or fighting over, a pair of sneakers. That's it's crazy. But it was
Well,
out
you
of
had a
Denver.
kid that passed out on football field the other day and died.
Oh, really?
So yeah, you just no contact, no contact caused him to drop at the time or faint, if you will, but actually he just collapsed and the young man died. So it happens out there. I mean,
Yeah, I had that
and
happen too.
you want to say be hydrated. You want to say because I tell you, they really force us as coaches now to really. They're asking us to do a lot, and I think it's only right that we do it. But we really got to be careful now about a kid's reaction to on the gridiron, on the court, or whatever, because we're the first eyes to see him in many cases, and
Yeah, I actually had
they're
that happen,
mandatory that we.
Vince, to a very good friend of mine growing up. I met him when I was 7, which meant that when I met him, he was 5. So he was now in high school, and this was way back when I was in college. I was a freshman in college, uh, in Daytona, as a matter of fact, and he was still in high school, and he was at football practice and collapsed and died. And come to find out that he had a heart condition. But
Well, they're more selective now than I think. Unfortunately, we're learning from our mistakes, and they're really trying to do a good job of evaluating these young athletes, making sure they have physicals, teaching them about how to take care of themselves. I mean, the technology is so much different than it was like when I played ball. Some of the same principles, but the way it's being administered is different. The emphases are different, and that's another big change in how we address these athletes now. It's about their well being more. You want not only do you want them to last through the season, you want them to be a healthy person, and they're going to a lot of lengths to rather help educate these kids to help take care of themselves. Stay away from alcohol. Don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs. Watch what you eat. Stay away from the energy drinks. All those kind of things that I think when I was coming along, nobody talked about. It wasn't an issue, as a matter of fact.
you know what, Vince? I
But
had remember. I mean, I coached girls basketball, and I think it was, I did it for 5 straight years, and I think it may have been my fourth year, my third or fourth year. Coached a young girl and her sister. They were really track stars. Their dad was really in their lives, and their dad was like their coach. And the older sister was like really a track runner. And the younger sister that I coached ran track, but she played more basketball. Well, actually, they both played basketball, but I was able to coach the older sister just simply because she would come to practice and she wanted to participate. And she was a good athlete. Both of them were good athletes. But the younger one was tall and a little lanky girl, but very good athlete. And so a few years when I think maybe about 4 years after that, because she was in high school and I think maybe she may have been a senior, and she drank some type of energy drink and made her pass out, and she's been bedridden and basically I don't know what her status is now. I haven't checked on her, but at one point they didn't think this girl was going to live, Vince. And it's so hard to imagine. Here's this young girl who was so full of life and this little athlete, and then she goes and she drank this whatever drink there was that made her fall out, and whatever happened that she almost became a vegetable. And for a long time, for a period of some months, man, they talk about they was just gonna pull a plug on her, and eventually, I think she just been bedridden. So I don't know. Whatever was going on with that energy drink, whatever she drank with the energy drink, I don't know, but it was crazy.
Yeah, that those drinks were and still are very dangerous, although a lot of people consume them. High in caffeine and sugar, sodium, and really and they're derived to give you a kick. And they give you that kick. And in particular, the danger comes in if you're taking some meds, if you're taking something else with it, and especially if you don't know that drink, what effect it has on your body, because I think it affects each person differently. You could really put yourself in a very, very dangerous situation.
Yeah,
Uh,
man, it's
but
hard to imagine, Vince. I'm
you
serious.
got to know.
It's just it's crazy, man. I just every time I think about it, it's, it's just sad. But anyway, in the NFL last week, was there any surprises?
I, I thought the Raiders would do better than what they did. I really had anticipated them being a little bit better. Um, 49ers surprised me. There was some comment.
Detroit, Detroit.
Pretty much, I had called Detroit, I think, and because I felt like they were close. I thought it was interesting that there was some criticism toward the Cowboys because of they were only winning what 31. I think they won the game 31-6. But when I looked
Yeah,
over at the Patriots lost 30-14. But nobody said anything about that. So you talk about playing superior. They were criticizing the Cowboys, saying, "Well, if you're such a great team, it took them a little while to score. I agree with that." And then they only won 31-15, or 31-6. Well, the Patriots only won by 6 or 7 themselves. So what's the difference? They're
yeah.
supposed to be a powerhouse. They should have blown them out. I think it was 35-14 or something like that. So
The Patriots, the Patriots, the Patriots was
yeah,
34. I mean 30-14.
something like that. So you expect, I would have expected, if you expected the Cowboys to beat what's name better more than by 6 points, and which they did. They only allowed them six. Patriots, 35, 34-14. The same thing. They weren't playing anybody either. You expect them to go up and blow up and make. It's just the bias of how you look at things. But you forget that team may be a 0-3, but there's still athletes out there trying to get it done. It's not that easy. Not
Right,
that easy. It's not automatic. I mean, because everybody who has the most to lose, quite honestly, is the winning team. So if you lay down, and you don't come out and compete, those guys could win one. Although I don't think that's true in Miami.
Did you see the Chief Raven game? Did you see that game?
Yeah, I expect the Raven. I expected the Chief, the Ravens surprised me a little bit. They played at a different level um, than what I thought they would play.
Okay, I got three games before we go into this coming week. The Panthers and the Cardinals with Cam out. Were you surprised the play of the backup of
Yeah,
Cam?
yeah. Well, I'm always surprised, pleasantly surprised when backups get in because basically in the pro level, they don't get very many snaps. They're at all the meetings and all of that, but they don't get any rep time up on the center. So that just goes to show you the talent that's sitting on the sideline. These guys can come in and run offenses and throw good passes and do some good stuff. So I'm always kind of excited for backups if they get in, that they do well.
It's funny because I heard a discussion last week, and maybe you might be able to understand this or agree or disagree. But I heard one of the sports talk shows talking about these kids that's coming into the NFL now, that
Hmm.
they start playing football so much younger now, and I guess the systems that they're learned that even from high school going into college, and then when they come out, that transformation where it was years ago is different now, that they're more ready to play in the NFL. Not, I mean, there's still the learning curve, but they're more ready because of the systems that they're coming out of now, going into the NFL. That their learning curve is not as much as not the way it used to be.
I agree. I think part now my input on that would be, and I agree with what they're saying. But you look at a number of the camps. It's your I'm sorry, your NFL quarterbacks that are holding a lot of these camps. So they're teaching techniques that these kids are going to see again. And they're teaching, obviously when you teach from what you know. So you got these NFL quarterbacks coming in teaching the finer points of how you play this position, how you execute this play, and it's carried over until their next level. So when they get there, they're not as it's not as foreign as you might have imagined. They've seen it before. They've heard it. They understand how it's supposed to be executed, whether or not they get it done. They've been taught how to do that. And I think when you constantly feed them that, they're gonna get better and better. So consequently, these guys come to the NFL, they're ready to play. They just got a guy in front of them that plays better than you do. But as soon as that guy goes down, he's able to step right in without missing a beat in some cases. Other than getting reps with the first team, they're ready to roll. That's impressive.
The 49ers beat the Steelers, and the what there was one of the oh, the Saints and the
Detroit.
the Saints and the Seahawks. Were you surprised?
Uh,
The Saints
well,
and the
without
Seahawks.
Breeze, you're always surprised at their performance because that's the only guy they've had in the center for a while.
Right.
So I was a little bit I was a little bit surprised.
And the 49ers and the Steelers.
A little shocked at the Steelers. Of course, then you don't have your starting quarterback. It's going to take a couple of weeks to get your feet back on the ground. So having lost that game and then lost the most recent game, it'll be interesting to see where they come out now, because this is when the coach has to do something in the locker room to help motivate the players. And if he doesn't do that, if he's lost the locker room, then his time in Pittsburgh will be very short.
Okay, now with this question right here, I'm going to ask you this question. Okay, I don't want you to think about the team. I don't want you to think about the team. But if you watch Monday Night Football last Monday and you watch the Redskins and the Bears, the Washington Redskins, as a quarterback, can you have a worse game than the Washington Redskins quarterback had last Monday?
I think it's possible for you to have a worse game.
Uh huh.
Uh, it couldn't be much worse than what he just did. He had a bad day. he just had a bad day, and that happens, and and
I'm
I
like,
don't,
oh my goodness. It's like,
is it
really?
Gruden system
And
just
then, but
broke
then,
down?
but but Vince, I wonder, first of all, I wonder what the defense says in the locker room, but I wonder what that conversation. I mean, when you go into, I mean, forget that, but when you have that kind of game, uh, period, on any team, I wonder what it's like in the locker room being that guy. Like, who comes up to you and go, "Hey man, you know it's gonna be all right," versus, "Hey man, you suck."
But quite honestly, I like it. I like it when they don't share their business out there because I really think that's an in-house thing. But it happens both ways. You got people that tell you, "Hey, it's going to be all right," and you got others come right up and say, "Hey, let me be honest. What you did sucked.
Right,
You didn't do a good job, but you got to do better for us to get where we want to go." But I think the first part of that is being frank.
right.
I'm unhappy with what you did. I just don't think you played your
Yeah,
hardest.
yeah,
And
because I can,
sometimes
cause
that hits
yeah, because
bad
I can
guys
see them
alone.
walking past the lockers and, hey man, you know, you costing me money, man. You costing me money.
Yeah, I think in many cases that I've heard about, they are frank about that. Especially if it's a close knit team, they'll be frank and say, "Hey, you just took food out my house with that very poor." And some are more direct and just talk about the game itself.
Yeah,
Just talk about the fact that a football player or a basketball player or a baseball player, whatever it is, you didn't play professional ball today. And boy, I tell you what, we got to fix that. So I think it happens all across. It's a tough conversation to have, especially when you're being, fingers are being pointed at you.
right. I didn't see I didn't see the Eagles game, but from what I heard, they did this thing called bird droppings,
Hmm.
and from what I understand, they dropped a lot of balls in that game against Detroit. I think it was 7 drops they had. So they
He
did
had
this
one
segment
receiver.
called bird droppings.
Yeah, they had one receiver. If that young man had caught his ball, there would have there would have truly been a different approach to what they were doing. He just didn't catch the ball.
Wow.
And sometimes that's the lack of concentration. Sometimes it's just you're not prepared for the ball. And as professionals, that's hard to accept because see, you get paid to do that.
Yep. I mean, you can pay me to come in there and drop balls. I mean,
Yeah,
and hey,
I drop
advance. I
balls
won't
too.
charge them nearly as much.
Yeah, I won't charge them at all. I want you to pay me for every catch I make.
I
You don't
come
have
there
to
and
pay me
drop
for
some balls.
don't.
But
They
speaking
they
of the
they
Eagles,
they're in Washington.
tomorrow
They
they
don't look
go
good.
up against the Packers.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm always interested in resiliency to see how well both of them are able. I would like to see a very good game. I don't really care who wins it, but I just like to see a good game. I think the Packers come out on top,
Okay.
but really would like this. I like good competitive game where you can't always predict the outcome.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. The
That's what I.
your favorite, the Redskins, plays against your other favorite, the Giants, on Sunday.
I don't know, but neither one of them to me doing anything. I mean, I might give a slight edge to the Giants because the young man played well. The Redskins sucked. They just didn't. They didn't look. I mean, they got issues. They got and they're not healthy either. So I mean, that has
Right.
to be factored in. But that's just a part of the game. You got 11 players. I got 11 players. It's not my fault you don't have your 11 best. That's not my concern.
Okay. Well, we'll find out how good the Lions are this coming week because they're going up against the Chiefs.
It's a great report card for them because the Chiefs are rolling right now, and I don't think they're gonna stop because I think the Chiefs recognized if you get a Lions a little breathing room, they could hurt you. Because
Okay.
they're kind of hungry, so you can't let them have too much breathing room. He got them playing at a high level.
The Titans and the Falcons.
Man, the Titans, man, I'm listening to my Titan fan base up here, boy. In fact, we just hired a guy who's going to be an assistant coach with on the JV who works for the Titans, and he was talking about how the customer base is a little upset, and stuff. So they need a win real bad. Of course, Mariota's out. That hurts. But they got who they playing? Atlanta. Atlanta can't seem to get their boat straight, so I'm gonna go with the Titans.
Browns and the Ravens.
I don't think the Browns can beat the Ravens. I think the Browns are playing interesting ball, but I think the Ravens win.
Okay. Raiders and the Colts.
The Raiders should win that.
The Patriots and the Bills. We will see how good the Bills defense is. We will see just how good they are.
I think the defense is going to hold up. They're going to make it a little bit more difficult. The question is whether if the offense gets rolling, I don't think they can stop them. Because I don't. I think you got to stop them. You really got to bring them to a halt. And if
Panthers
you don't
and
do that, they're going.
the Panthers and the Texans.
That should be actually a good game. I would go with the Texans on it.
The Chargers and the Dolphins.
Chargers without a doubt.
Buccaneers and the Rams.
I think the Rams win that. I don't think the Buccaneers can pull that off.
Seahawks and the Cardinals.
Seahawks.
The Vikings and the Bears.
I think the Vikings can beat the Bears.
The Jaguars and the Broncos.
I don't know, that's one of those. That's a toss up for me. I'm gonna go with the Browns.
Bengals and the Steelers.
Well, that's an old rivalry right there. I'm gonna go with the Steelers.
And it's that time.
How about them Cowboys? Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
Oh, great. Well, you know they play against the Saints
Yeah, they're playing well.
Sunday night.
I don't think the Saints are out of reach. They've got to play their kind of style of ball though. They're a good team without a doubt. They're a good team without Drew Brees. With him, they're a much, 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 much better team. So I really think they're still going to have a challenge, but I think it's doable. I think they win. I think the Cowboys win.
Okay.
Defense, defensive side of the ball, Dak is throwing the ball well. Zeke is running well. Cooper and staff are catching the ball. They're giving them enough time, but they're making plays on the defensive side of the ball.
Now, Vince, we have went the whole show, and we about to close out, and I realized something.
What's that?
We didn't talk about AB, man.
I see no reason to talk about it. Yeah, I don't see what AD
We didn't
brings to
talk
the
about
table.
the knucklehead Antonio Brown. Oh my goodness.
Well, the thing that interests me on that Saturday after he was released, there were three teams that had shown interest in him, which I was very surprised. Then he turns around and shoots himself in the foot and says, "You don't want to play any NFL anymore." And now he's going back to school. I,
Right.
he might be surprised what would come his way if he shut his mouth.
I don't think he
I
knows
mean,
how.
I don't think because you got three teams that are willing to gamble on you, man, and put up some kind of something for you, and then you want to say, "Well, I don't want to play anymore." Then you trash the team that saved you. You don't have any loyalty to anybody. Why would I want to show my team?
I don't know. Vince is, for years, I've been struggling with today's athlete. It's hard for me to understand. Well, it's not, but it's just hard for me to pull for these guys because their attitudes and they're so blessed in so many ways, but that's not how they come across, and it's just hard.
You know,
I don't
some
know.
of them too. This is the first time they've had as much as they have, and that's not a real excuse because I think you can learn to appreciate the NFL is trying its best, as is the NBA and Major League, to put to help these guys gradually uh, come to understand what the duties and responsibilities that you do have, and then also about putting your kids involved or putting kids out there. You got to deal with that in some kind of way too. So they're giving a concentrated effort. The thing that you can't put your hand on is whether or not these guys are going to really take it and really move it forward or not, or just say, hey, I did this so I get my money. And I hope that the teams in the league start enforcing that, and they rather make an example out of somebody. Somebody's going to try them.
Before we leave, Kyrie Irving got a broken face, and the Nets announced that KD
JD,
will not be playing at all next season. Well, saying that they're not trying to make that happen, that he is out indefinitely the entire season.
I don't know that me personally, I wasn't in favor of that combination taking place. Really was curious to see how well it would take place. So we'll see. They're going to have to be without him all year long. Uh, and I guess McGee will go back
Mm-hmm.
or over there. So they're in trouble, man. They're in trouble.
Okay. Okay. Well, I see you had a long day. It's about that bedtime.
It's been a good day, but it's been long. Anyway, it's 3:30 this
So,
morning.
and I know the young people are keeping you up and going.
Let me tell you, man, they don't give me a chance. I mean, they really keep me on my toes, man. They push me hard, and I mean that's all day. That's in the classroom, during the hallway, all the way out to the gym doing PE, and definitely when it comes to basketball. I was at a volleyball game tonight too, as well. So, trying to support, trying to enjoy, and then trying to be involved.
Okay. Well, appreciate you. Get you some rest.
Yeah,
And hey, and enjoy the warm weather while you can, because I know in a few
it's
weeks
close.
it's
It's
going to be a
close.
different story.
They are saying that we're going to have a warm winter, but I don't know what that means. When they say warm, I'm not that sure.
Hey,
I, I don't think we're talking about that kind of warm.
right. Well,
But I'll
anyway,
let you. I'll
right.
let you know.
I'm Charles Morris. This is the original Coach Carter, where we come to you here with Youth Central Sports every Wednesday. We ask that you hit the like button there on Facebook and subscribe to us there on YouTube. We appreciate that. And for questions and comments. Oh, by the way, you can follow the original Coach Carter right there. You can hit him up there on Twitter. He puts out some really good stuff each and every day. And
Hmm.
let me see if I can find it where, in case you may have some questions or concerns or anything like that, you can hit us up. And you can also follow me on Twitter as well. You can follow the both of us. Certainly can. And if I can find his email address real quick, we can say that you can hit us up here at youthcentralsports@gmail.com as for questions or comments. And you can also text us as well, right? This phone number right here. Vince, appreciate you, man.
It's
Enjoy the rest
always a
of your
pleasure.
week.
Thank you. And they can hit me up on Twitter at Vincent L. Carter on Twitter.
Okay. All right. And with that being said, everyone, enjoy the rest of your week. You be blessed.
Be blessed.